Hi guys, welcome back to Manga Mono. Anime begins with Lisa showing off her twin personalities and apple pie to Mark. It seems she wants some lunch money and will do anything to get it from him. Lisa is actually famous for getting appreciated for cash and her poor taste in guys. She promises to give Mark a taste of her karaoke skills just like she did in the past, in exchange for lunch money. Although Mark is a little short on funds, he falls for Lisa's tricks and agrees to let her meet his sword hero. He follows Lisa and allows her to show off her karaoke skills on his enraged sword hero. Lisa is delighted at his huge sword hero as she shows off her karaoke skills. She recalls her past experiences with him and realizes she is getting used to his sword hero. Meanwhile, she stirs the fillings of her apple pie while waiting for a fresh serving of his fresh organic homemade yogurt. However, she continues showing off her karaoke skills and eventually makes Mark accidentally spill his fresh organic homemade yogurt a little too early. Lisa savors most of the fresh organic yogurt and apologizes for wasting some of it. She then promises to make it up to him by showing off her karaoke skills one more time. Guys, before we continue this recap, please don't forget to like and leave your comment about this anime. And now, I leave you to continue watching.
ちょっと協力してほしいことあるんだけど。
人気で雑誌のモデルもしているらしい。
あんた童貞？
はい。俺も密かに憧れている。
The following day, Mark runs into Yuriko, who is popular among other guys and rumored to work as a model on the side. In the meantime, she goes straight to the point and asks Mark if he is even engaged in a cultural exercise. Surprisingly, Mark stutters while confirming that he is from the land of the maidenless. Deep down, he craves her cultural energy and has secretly had a crush on her, despite still having his V-card. What he doesn't know is that Yuriko is currently on a journey to get appreciated by 100 different V-card holders. After stating her goals, she exposes her twin personalities and apple pie to prepare Mark for some culture. After seeing Yuriko in such a state, Mark wastes no time revealing his sword hero to her, which immediately goes into rage mode when she gives it a good grip. Its strength astounds her, and she can't help but wonder what would happen to her apple pie if it was to rampage on it. So, Yuriko shows off her karaoke skills on Mark's sword hero, causing her to let out plenty of cultural sounds, while Mark's mind slowly goes blank. It doesn't take long for him to start grunting and signal that he will soon deliver a fresh batch of his organic homemade yogurt. Despite that, Yuriko does not stop, so she receives a fresh serving of organic yogurt as thanks for her excellent work. As expected, she doesn't let a single drop go to waste because she follows a zero-waste lifestyle. After that, Yuriko gets her apple pie ready for an in-depth appreciation from Mark.
で卒業だな。なんだ？緊張してんのか？
いえ、見とれてしまって。
こっちおいで。
She then moves closer to Mark to give him a good CPR, but it makes her hungrier for appreciation.
チンコ欲しくて、もう我慢できないんだけどね。
At this point, Mark stops holding back and lets his enraged sword hero dive into her apple pie. His mind slowly wanders after experiencing the warm and welcoming feel of Yuriko's apple pie, but snaps back into reality when Yuriko orders him to piston Gatling her apple pie. Just like that, the cultural appreciation begins, and Yuriko can't help but marvel at Mark's sword hero's strength. Despite being a veteran cultural appreciator, Yuriko feels like she just lost her V-card due to the overwhelming power of Mark's sword hero. She lets out plenty of cultural sounds and wonders how Mark's sword hero has the potential to make her mind go blank. Meanwhile, Mark relentlessly appreciates her apple pie and eventually fills it with a fresh serving of his organic yogurt. After that, to Mark's surprise, Yuriko demands more cultural appreciation. Since he was raised as a gentleman, Mark doesn't deny her request and piston Gatlings her apple pie with everything he's got. It leaves Yuriko speechless as she can't stop thinking about his sword hero. Even though she's already gasping for air, she still orders Mark to continue relentlessly appreciating her. Mark does as he's told, and eventually he reaches his limit again and deposits another fresh serving of organic yogurt. Yuriko can't help but let out plenty of cultural sounds while a torrent of freshly made organic yogurt flows into her apple pie. Her mind goes blank. She snaps back into reality when she realizes that she is late. As a result, she ends the cultural session and invites Mark to visit her when he is free. Because of what happened, Yuriko has a change of heart and she no longer wants to be appreciated by 100 different guys. Instead, she wants only Mark to do so, but 100 times over.
痛いっつってんの。 してください。
A few days later, Mark bumps into Bakako, who then invites him for a karaoke session at a bar. No, it's not that karaoke session you're used to hearing about from me. It's actually the real one with proper microphones and songs. At least for now, because this is a forbidden anime and we know things are about to get cultural. Since he's a gentleman, Mark agrees and accompanies her. Once there, Bako reveals her twin personalities and apple pie to gain Mark's undivided attention. The girl is known to be a little lacking in the intelligence department because most of her growth goes into her twin personalities instead of her brain. Mark, who recently lost his V card, wastes no time to reveal the man of culture in him. He takes out his enraged sword hero and allows Bakako to suffocate it with her twin personalities. He then signals that he will soon deliver a fresh shipment of fresh organic yogurt. Hearing this, Bakako repositions herself to receive her daily dose of organic yogurt and avoids wasting a single drop because she too follows the zero-waste lifestyle. As a result, Mark showers her twin personalities with a fresh serving of his organic yogurt. An appreciation session begins shortly when Bakako sees that Mark's sword hero is still in rage mode. She shows off her equestrian skills, thinking that Mark will be moved easily. However, she learns the hard way when Mark assumes the offensive in piston pie until she steps on Legos. In the end, Bakako's mind goes blank as she steps on Legos while the caramelized juices of her apple pie overflow uncontrollably. Before parting ways, she wants Mark to appreciate her apple pie on a roller coaster in the future.
次はジェットコースターの上でセックスしましょうね。
お前バカだろ。
Sometime later, Mark meets with Yuriko and Piston Gatlings her apple pie behind a public bathroom. He's gotten popular because of how he appreciated Yuriko's apple pie a few days ago. On the other hand, Yuriko has already fallen in love with Mark's sword hero because of how it keeps making her step on Legos. She can't get enough of it anymore because she is no longer happy with the regular ones that she often encounters. Finally, she lets out loud cultural sounds when Mark fills her apple pie with a fresh serving of his organic yogurt. A few days later, Lisa has a sparring session with Mark's sword hero as she gets appreciated repeatedly. Initially, Lisa wanted to show off her karaoke skills, but now she settles for repeated appreciation since she can no longer live without Mark's sword hero. It turns out that Yuriko spread the news concerning Mark's sword hero, which explains why Lisa got interested. She can't help but let out loud cultural sounds while getting appreciated by Mark's sword hero. However, Mark reaches his limit and finally fills her apple pie with a fresh serving of his organic, homemade yogurt. Coincidentally, Lisa steps on Legos and promises to be exclusive for his sword hero. That evening, two ladies confront Yuriko concerning her reasons for not going out at night. Yuriko replies accordingly, giving an excuse that she is seeing Mark. When asked to bring Mark over for a quick chat, Yuriko declines, stating that Mark only belongs to her. Mark stops by a store following day to buy some books, but suddenly needs to go to the bathroom. However, he enters and sees one of Yuriko's friends, practicing her self-reliance skills on her apple pie and twin personality. Rather than get angry for the intrusion, the lady drags Mark in and prepares to share some culture with him. It turns out that she has heard about his exploits in the cultural realm and wants him to make her step on Legos repeatedly. Mark agrees to her demand since he is a gentleman. Meanwhile, the lady marvels at the sight of his sword hero after it enters rage mode. To her shock, she steps on Legos just by the aura of Mark's sword hero while she watches him stir her apple pie. As a result, the lady steps on Legos and spills the caramelized juices out of her apple pie as she gets her fill of Mark's fresh organic homemade yogurt. In the end, the lady commends Mark for a job well done and gives him her number so they can stay in touch.
私の ID 連絡よろしく。
Around sunset, Mark boards a train home and finds Yuriko sleeping carelessly on the passenger seat. Since Yuriko is rumored to be an easygoing type of gal, Mark seizes the opportunity to get a good grasp of her twin personalities. Yuriko responds by showing off her karaoke skills, despite being asleep. However, she wakes up after drinking a fresh serving of Mark's organic homemade yogurt. Rather than be shocked, Yuriko exposes her apple pie, begging for an impromptu public cultural appreciation. As always, Mark summons his enraged sword hero and appreciates her apple pie until the caramelized juices of her apple pie overflow uncontrollably. Eventually, when the time is right, Mark's sword hero loses control and accidentally spills a fresh serving of his organic homemade yogurt into her apple pie. Yuriko is overwhelmed by the cultural experience and passes out after savoring everything. That evening, Mark meets with Yuriko to have dinner. Yuriko wastes no time and exposes her apple pie so she can receive cultural energy from Mark. Just before the appreciation session begins, Yuriko hops on her phone and answers a call from her friend. She tells her that she is with Mark, including the fact that she is about to be appreciated by him. However, the lady requests that she be allowed to join the cultural appreciation session. When asked, Mark declines the offer, saying that he only wants to keep appreciating Yuriko's apple pie until he kicks the bucket. Yuriko is left happy after hearing this, and she goes on to grab hold of his sword hero, using the power of friction to make it surrender a fresh serving of its organic, homemade yogurt. Even after that, Mark sets Yuriko in a good stance for repeated appreciation. He pays no attention to the fact that she is on a call and proceeds to piston gattling her apple pie. Yuriko lets out uncontrollable cultural sounds as Mark's enraged sword hero repeatedly appreciates her apple pie. Her mind almost goes blank when Mark goes after her pink jelly beans while still appreciating her apple pie. It gets to a point where she admits that her mind is floating off to space because of how Mark repeatedly appreciates her apple pie. Just like that, she steps on Legos again and Mark spills a fresh serving of his organic homemade yogurt into her apple pie again. However, the organic yogurt drink leaks from her apple pie and drops on her phone and the couch. As a result, she promises to drain Mark's yogurt reserves the entire night until they are empty.
徹夜で金玉空っぽにしてやっからな。
And guys, please in the end, don't forget to support us with a like for the video and algorithms say you will like these videos.